welcome, it's me, OGDuffy, and we've got a brilliant versus video for you this week. I mean, this is an absolute classic game. Not only that, I'm taking a look at a record amount of systems as well. We're going to do a total of 3 different comparison little competitions at the end too, which is my favourites, okay? We're going to be looking at 8-bit systems, we're going to be looking at 16-bit systems, and we're going to be looking at some console systems, okay? Now, this game is out on a lot more systems than the ones we're looking at, and it's a huge game and it still lives on today. This was suggested by one of you great viewers out there, and another superb suggestion. Thank you, Will Robinson, for this one. Yes, Will, you selected the mighty R-Type by Irem. Whew, we're going to be in for a busy trip. This game was released in 1987 by the Irem Corporation, and it made an amazing impact straight away. It was a side-scrolling arcade game, power-ups, all that sort of good thing. We'd seen all this sort of stuff before, but this version was just, it made an instant impact, and it is still considered an absolute classic today. So we're going to look at the arcade version as per usual, but before we get into that, we're going to be looking at the 8-bit systems at the end, doing my comparison as per normal, and we're going to be looking at the Amstrad CPC, the ZX Spectrum by Sinclair, the Commodore 64, okay? So, that's the first comparison bit we're doing. Then we're doing the 16-bit systems. We're going to be looking at the Commodore Amiga and the Atari ST version to see, out of the comparisons, which two was the better version. And then, finally, we are going to be looking at some console versions. Early console versions though, none of this modern stuff, not yet anyway. And we're going to be looking at a brilliant system for the day, the PC Engine. Woof, what a console that was. The Sega Master System, and of course the Nintendo Game Boy. I've thrown that in there, although it's handheld, it's not a full console. Hey, good fun to have a look at. So them 3 are going head to head also. Whew. So I've got my work cut out. It's going to be busy. If you don't already subscribe, please do so, because I do a lot of these sort of videos, and along with me pick-up videos and that sort of stuff. And hey, let me know in the comments your memories of these game systems, the version of the game, and R-Type in general. You know, such a classic game. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to get straight into it now, and let's go take a look at the arcade classic itself. So this was 1987's side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, which is R-Type by Irem. It was a huge game, and it's still popular to this very day. Has had plenty of sort of releases over the years, and it still gets the odd turnout on many systems. Now this game was, like I say, very, very big. It was popular. I'm going to show you some similar footage for all systems. So we're going to have a quick look at the beginning of level 1 for all systems, and then we will take a look at the end of level boss for each system as well. As I've said earlier, we're going to do the 8-bit, the 16-bits, and then look at some consoles. This was a very difficult game. I mean, stage 1 was doable, but it wasn't the easiest, and after this it just got harder and harder. In total there was 8 stages, so a very difficult game to play. But next up, we're going to go take a look at the first of the 8-bits, and we're going to do the Commodore 64. Now this here's the Commodore 64 version. Now this did not disappoint at all for an 8-bit, and played very, very well indeed. As you can see, it was very smooth, it scrolled very well, and it was overall really good game, really good conversion here. The audio was good as well, which you'd expect from the Commodore 64 of course, and all in all it was a very good conversion. Very little to fault on this one, so a great job here by the Commodore 64 on an all-time classic. Well done. Now the Amstrad CPC.
Looks graphically not dissimilar to the Spectrum version, which has come out shortly. But this was choppier to play, just didn't have the flow of the Spectrum version, and strangely lacked a bit of colour over the Spectrum version also. I mean, you know, we'll see that shortly anyway. Sound was pretty basic, as you can hear. Now, if you're watching this and you think that's not the Amstrad version, I can tell you that a remake of this was done when I was exploring this video, and I do believe it was done in 2012 by a company called Easter Egg. Hey, I could be right, I could be wrong, but no matter what, someone out there will know, so let me know that. Is it true? Was it 2012 that the remake was done, and was it done by a company called Easter Egg? Again, you guys are mega knowledgeable, you will know, someone will tell me in the comments. But again, as I say, unfortunately just did not play very well, so all in all, sorry Amstrad fans, this was not the best, I'm afraid, but I'm sure in a future video I'm going to take a look at the remake, let you know what I think of that one. And what are your memories of this game? I mean, did you have good memories of this? Did you like this version if you owned it? As always, let me know in the comments, because hey, it's good to talk, as Busby once said. So, this pretty much concludes now the Amstrad version, and let's go take a look now at the ZX Spectrum by Sinclair. Well, as you can see, this is the ZX Spectrum version. Looks similar to the Amstrad CPC, what we just looked at, but plays completely different. I mean, look how fast this was for a ZX Spectrum, and look how good graphically it was. This was a real surprise to me. I mean, I never played this on the Spectrum back in the day. I did have the 64 version, and obviously was a big fan of the arcade system, but this was this really did surprise me. Played very, very well. It resembles the arcade. You know you were playing R-Type with this. I mean, great use of colours here, especially as it's like a ZX Spectrum, and they've done a really good job. I mean, I'm really, as I say, I can't say how surprised I am. So very well done. I'm not sure, was this out also on the 128K or not? This is the 48K. Let me know, folks, was there a 128 version of this, or were they both the same for the system? This is the Commodore Amiga version, and firstly, I mean, first off, brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it's a really good conversion. Graphically, looks absolutely amazing. Sound was good and did very, very well. Now, I can tell you this was released later than the other versions we're looking at today, so this come out a bit later than them. As you can hear, you had both music and sound effects going while you played this, okay? And overall, a really good conversion for the Commodore Amiga. I mean, let's be honest, if you'd have had a Commodore Amiga and had bought this as an arcade conversion, you wouldn't have been disappointed, would you? I mean, just look at it. It played brilliantly, it looked beautiful, and it played very, very well with great sound. Overall, a brilliant conversion, a very well polished product. Great job, Amiga. So here we go, this is the Atari ST version. Now what I've started to realise is when you look at these comparisons, quite often the ST and the Amiga look very similar. But in this comparison I can say it looks nice, don't get me wrong, and you know, it sounds good, but the collision detection on this was not so good, quite poor overall, and the scrolling was not as smooth as the Amiga version. Far from it actually, and as you can hear, there was no sound effects, it was just the in-game music. So when you go head to head here, as you'll know my verdict which comes up at the end, you'll get to hear who gets it for the 16 bits. Is it the Amiga or the ST? But end of level boss here, but as I say, looks very nice. Did you have this for your Atari ST? Let me know your thoughts. Sega Master System now, in the first of the consoles that we're looking at today. As you can see, it was fairly smooth, played quite well. The only fault really, as you can see, the bit of flickering with the sprites, the enemy sprites as they come towards you and stuff at times, and could have suffered at times a bit of slowdown on the screen when it got a little bit busy, but it was hardly noticeable, to be fair. It was nice, looked good, and like I say, the playability was there, it played nicely, which is what it's always about. And graphically weren't too bad, except for that little glitch every now and then. Now, this is the ender level boss, and as you can see with this version, they've done away with sort of the background, the spaceship type graphics and stuff, and they just put the boss on a black background, as you can see. Apart from that though, all in all, a very good effort, Sega Master System. This here is the classic Game Boy. As we all know, it was monochrome only, and I felt this was a really good conversion for the Game Boy's limitations at the time. I mean, I thought they did a particularly good job on the sound, and the gameplay. It played very, very, very nicely indeed for the little handheld at this time. Now, obviously, this was just very basic. It was the original Game Boy. We're not looking at the advanced versions or Game Boy Color or anything like that. I don't know if it was out for them or not. We're just looking at this version, but it was very, very well done indeed. Playable, you know, it was R-Type, and a great job. Ender level boss here. The only downside with this conversion was it didn't stick to the original arcade levels, but all in all, one that surprised me greatly. This, I mean, I'm a Game Boy fan, and I never played it on the original when I still played on Game Boy occasionally, but I never owned this, so it was nice to revisit it. So really good conversion. So well done, Nintendo Game Boy, good effort. And the last console version we're looking at is the classic PC Engine. Now, this used to advertise itself as a 16-bit system. It was an 8-bit system because it had an 8-bit CPU. I think it was to do with the graphics that it got involved with the number 16, but although that said, I mean, look at this system. This could hold its own against the 16-bit systems of the day easily. It was really good. Now, this system used to take hue cards, like credit card size things, and they were brilliant for your games. They were really cool, very sexy. This had 4 levels on each hue card. So unfortunately, if you were lucky enough to own a PC Engine, you had to buy both hue cards to get the whole game, you know, so it was a bit unfortunate really. But later on, this did manage to get a US release, and they managed to fit all 8 levels onto one hue card, so the American audience only had to buy the one game for the complete title, shall we say. But this was excellent. I mean, look at it. What a great, great, great conversion this was. And what a great system the PC Engine was. Brilliant job. Well done. Now for my verdicts.
That concludes the look at the different systems for R-Type. What a game. Now, I mean, this had so many sort of spin-offs and other versions. We could go on and do a later video looking at them. And hey, I may well do it. But for now, let's get into the verdicts. But before we do that, as always, if you don't subscribe, please do hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments your opinions on my verdict. Am I right? Am I wrong? But don't be hating on the video if your system don't win. Hey, anyway, onwards and upwards. 8-bit system. In third position goes to the Amstrad CPC version. Now, it didn't look dissimilar to the ZX Spectrum version, but it seemed to lack a little bit of colour that the Spectrum version had, which was really odd. Didn't play as well, and to be fair, this was remade a few years after, and the remake is a hell of a lot better. But hey, I'm sticking to the original version, okay? So all in all, goes to third position, Amstrad CPC, which means in second position, I've given it to the ZX Spectrum. Okay, now, this really deserves a commendation. Spectrum programming here was superb. Okay, to be fair, was the 128 version we looked at, had that great sound, graphically, not, you know, you could tell what you were playing was the arcade game. It looked really good. And for the Spectrum's limitations, they did a brilliant job of this, an absolutely amazing job. So, commendation to the ZX Spectrum version.
Commendation. The act of commending, praise, favorable representation in word recommendation.
First position for the 8-bits goes to the Commodore 64, obviously. It played really well. It was a superb conversion, and you knew you were playing R-Type when you played this. So, well done, Commodore. It was a great job on this, and the sound was, sweet as, mate. 8-bit system, SID chip, finest job. Great, well done. Commodore 64, well deserved. 16-bit comparisons now. Versus video. Out of the two systems we looked at, the Atari ST and the Commodore Amiga, it goes to, second position, goes to Atari ST. It looked nice, but it just didn't play that well, you know. It was just, it was a bit all over the place. Like I say, it looked good, but nah, the playability weren't there for me, and the sort of clashing and all that sort of stuff wasn't spot on. It was just nowhere near as good as the Amiga version. Now, the Amiga version takes it for the 16 bits. It looks lovely, and it played well. So well done, Amiga. You take it for the 16 bits. In third position, we're going to go for the Game Boy. Now, obviously, as the gameplay showed, right? Yeah, Game Boy was really limited, had just monochrome and basic sound. But, tell you what, you knew you were playing R-Type. They did a cracking conversion of this onto the Game Boy. So, very well done. So, I'm including it in the consoles, and it's really should come under maybe handhelds, but, you know, I've included it anyway. It's in there now. So, there we go. So, a great job. Well done, Game Boy. And in second position for the consoles goes to the SEGA Master System. This was a really good version, played really well. Absolutely good fun. You knew you were playing R-Type, you know, had a good crack at the sound and all that sort of stuff. So, another good, worthy effort. But of course, undoubtedly, you all knew this was going to win it. And for the consoles, it's the PC Engine. I mean, this was a tiny little console, but my God, did it pack some power. Now, it advertised itself as a 16-bit console, but actually it wasn't. The processor it used was an 8-bit processor, so it was actually an 8-bit system, but it got itself confused because of the 16-bit colours it would use, okay? But it was actually an 8-bit system. Now, in Japan, when this first came out, you get little hue cards slotted in. That's cute as, mate, cute as. And these little cards would slot in, and because of the size of the game, it come on 2 hue cards, so it had to carry over. So you had to get both hue cards to get the complete game, which is, in a way, I don't know, good way of getting a few extra quid out of the customer, maybe. But in the US, when this was released on hue card, a bit later on, it wasn't released straight away. They managed to squeeze all the data onto a single hue card for the US market. Maybe they knew the Americans wouldn't fork out for 2. Hey, who knows? But anyway, that was a really, really good versus video to look at. So thank you for that suggestion. It was very, very well received, Mr. Will Robinson. Thank you again. So remember, if you guys have got a suggestion for me, drop it in the comments. Equally, hey, let me know in the comments, did you own this on any of the systems? Did you play it? Can you remember it in the arcades? Because I certainly can. Anyway, I've been OGDuffy. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go and have a beer now. I think I've earned it. Cheers. If you watched the video and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe for more great videos. Thanks for watching.